So we are very fortunate to meet some very special beings and learn from them about all aspects of existence. So this time we were very fortunate to meet a luminous being, Sri Anish, that is Ashram, the Sadhu Foundation, 1 hour from Dharamshala, and these are some of the highlights in the video.
Every human being has a different path or is guided on a different path. For some people, it works best when they remain retreated from the world and work energetically or spread their meditativeness in silence. That's the power given to them. For some people, their power is in their mind speech. And for them, it is best that they use their power and spread the wisdom. In both the cases, the seed is compassion. After their meditativeness or their life's journey, some form of compassion has started arising in their heart. Both are the expression of the same compassion. But one expression is silent meditation, and through that spreading the wisdom or healing. Another expression is through the words, and through that spreading the wisdom and healing. And for some, it could be work of service. And, feeding the poor or any kind of offering. Then that becomes the expression of the same compassion. So in all these cases, the common thread is compassion is arising. But their expression of compassion is different in all the cases. That's the reason in every spiritual teacher you will see a different dimension. Some are of the action, which is service. Some are of the speech. Some are of the silence. Some are of pure meditation only. So these are different expressions arising, but the seed, the core is the compassion. When you attain something in your heart, the compassion will flower. What expression that compassion takes, we don't know. That basically depends on your energy type. If you're more action-oriented, you will not sit in the cave. You go out in the world and do so many things. If you are more of sattva based, which is less active. So for an example, in India, if you know this great spiritual master called Ramana Maharishi, the jewel of Advaita Vedanta. He didn't do anything. He just sat. Stayed in the ashram, didn't do any work of seva, didn't even give discourses. He just sat. People would come, sit with him. Most of the time they're sitting for 1 hour. 50 minutes everybody would be in silence. And if you ask him a question, he will not give this long answer. He'll just say one statement, that's all. But we consider him a jewel of Indian spirituality. So that was his expression. If you ask me a question, I'll give you a 10-minute answer.
I see that you're giving speech. Instead of you stay in the
chair.
Yeah. I think you must respect, honor and value the gift that is given to you. And must not go contrary to that. And that's wisdom. Yeah. Some people I find have gift of writing.
Yeah, that's what I.
They will write just a few lines and the truth is out there. Like, even if you read some of Indian scriptures,
I did, but with with
Commentary?
Commentary. But if you see the sages of the past, when they wrote the scriptures, they did not write the commentary.
Yes,
They only write one sutra,
very short.
one line. That's it. And the other day, I was giving a talk on Shiv Sutra. There's a whole book called Shiv Sutra based on Kashmir Shiva Sutra. Bit of Tantra and bit of Mantra. And that's really profound. And one statement of that is just two words. In Sanskrit it's called Chittam Mantra. Now that's a whole sutra in itself. You will take a one lifetime to explain that or understand. So some people were very strong in their writing. Yes.
Sri Aurobindo also
Sri Aurobindo. In the Indian tradition, there is no word like teacher. There is nothing called spiritual teacher. We only have gurus. And the guru. Spiritual teacher is not guru. This is not the right translation. The teacher is somebody, so I read a book, mentally I understand the concept and I teach. That's a teacher.
Okay.
Not established. The compassion has still not flowered. That's a teacher. In the hardcore spiritual traditions of India, we were not allowed to be teachers. You cannot be a teacher. You are either a student or a guru. Nothing in between. And the guru is one where the compassion has flowered fully and this being has entered into effortlessness. Now this being could also work 20 hours a day and dedicate every breath, every ounce of blood for the well-being of the world and never feel tired. That's a guru. So we never had anything in between. You're either a student or you've transcended that and entered into the other side.
So, as I said, you were saved. I'm a student.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm still there.
Yes. Yeah. But of course, the world has changed now. There are a lot of teachers who are students and the teacher at the same time, which is fine because the world needs more teachers also in that sense. But then the teacher needs to be very, very wise in two aspects. Number one, know your field. Is your field, know your gift. Is your gift the speech? Is your gift the silence? Is your gift seva? What's your gift?
My own gift,
Yeah.
the ability to do that.
Yeah.
And then,
So once you identify the gift, then all your teachings should be through that medium alone. If you get inspired by somebody else, and his or her medium could be different, and you try to copy that, it will become a lot of effort.
that's true.
If you know your own media, your own gift, and if you follow that alone, the effort is much less.
Yeah, that's true.
So, but what is happening in the world, we get influenced too easily. If he can speak well, then I also want to speak well. But maybe my gift is writing. Maybe my gift is silence. I can teach in silence, right? Why do I need to copy? If you can just align to that, then life becomes much easier. And that's a journey to really realize what's your gift. That's quite a journey.
Malak, sorry, go ahead. Mentioning the journey, some people say that at the end of the journey there is enlightenment. Can you refer to that? As a subject or maybe as a private?
No, we can talk about it. I think some people say that, but that's a completely wrong notion. Because then we start to chase something unknown. It's not about that.
It's the ego.
It's the then it becomes an ego trip basically.
Yes.
The whole game is, can in this particular moment I live blissfully, true to my own self.
Mm-hmm.
And blissful does not mean to have a smiling face. That is not blissfulness. True to your own self is blissfulness. If I'm an apple, I'm a good apple. That's blissfulness. I'm not trying to become a banana. And that's the key. If you can do that, then end of the journey, enlightenment, not enlightenment, nobody cares. And that's not your job.
Malak and we were discussing about free will versus effort. Like, what I initially your views that whether one should just keep accepting one's flow, maybe one is not very inspired to do sadhana or just being very, or one should also put in enough effort to transcend dualities and become more advanced.
My sense or my experience of this is, if everything what is happening right now is the result of past causes or karma, then in this moment also you are making some karmas. What are they based on? The past karmas? If that is so, it's a chain reaction and nothing is in control. And if that is so, then we are just a machine, not a conscious being. The machine has a certain program, the program is continuously running. It's like a loop. Then you can never come out of this loop. Then we are slaves. We're not free to choose. Right? But in every moment, you're also doing some action. So right now, if I offer you a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, you choose something. And that's a fresh karma. It has no previous cause. Maybe you choose because you are in the habit of taking tea. But in this moment, you're offered both. And you can choose coffee. And this is a new karma you've created.
It will be influenced by
It is influenced. Something from the past. Influenced. But in this moment, you have a choice to choose either. Which means you have a choice to choose based on your influences or make a fresh choice. Yes, there are influences. Let's say you are a tea drinker. Or let's say you're a coffee drinker. Past influences of drinking coffee. So in this moment, your instinct will say coffee. But you still have a choice where you can say, today, let me experience tea. You can say that. And many times you do that, right? Many times you go against your past habits. Do you? Why do you do that? If it was purely because of the past habit, which is programming, then you will never choose otherwise. Do you follow? But sometimes you choose otherwise. That's free will sneaking in. So, my experience says that 99% of our life we live and is governed by our past actions, which is also called mental conditioning or habits or patterns. But in every situation, we also have this gift of exercising free will, going against our habits, going against our conditioning. And we've all done that. It's just not a concept. We've all done that at some point. This free will is very bleak, very weak in human beings. But the beauty is, the more you start to choose free will, the more stronger it starts to become. It's like a fuel that you give to free will by choosing free will. The more you exercise free will and go against your past patterns, the more strength you start to gain. It becomes a positive loop. So all the Buddhas of the world have always exercised their free will and choose a different path. If you look at the story of Buddha, this man always lived in a palace. Past conditioning was all palatial life, all enjoyments. But then a moment came when there was a point. He saw this old dying person. Siddhartha had a choice in that moment. To still continue living with the past impressions and conditioning, saying, okay, I've seen this, I reject this, I go back to my comforts. But he exercised his free will in this moment, saying that I will not go back to my conditioned life. I will explore a path which I've never explored. And that made Siddhartha into a Buddha by utilizing this choice called free will. So it does exist. But you have to experience this, no?
Do you think, also it could, like, given the ability to make a choice at that moment is kind of a gifted thing. It's like we don't own that ability. It's something that's kind of happened because of everything that's happened. It's like you go through a cycle to eventually lead you to the next step, to eventually lead to the next step. So even the space that free will comes in through has happened because of
the past karmas.
the past.
Past karmas. That's what I'm saying. There are three kinds of past karmas we define in the Indian system. One kind of karmas, okay, let me make it simplified. Let's say two types of past karmas. One is in Sanskrit called sanchit karmas. Karmas which are stored, not yet opened. One is called prarabdha karmas. Karmas which have started opening up. Now, which basically means, let's say you have two types of seeds. One seed is still in store. The other set of seeds you put on the ground. The seeds that you put on the ground have started sprouting. You can't run away from the results of that. What you're saying. Everything is based on past karma. But there are a lot of past karmas who are still in the form of a seed, yet not sown in the ground still. And there you've been given this power of free will. If you exercise that, you can actually burn all those seeds without sowing them. And that's the reason we say, even in one life, what we were calling enlightenment, if I refer that word, even in one life you can attain to that by following this process. Because this 1% free will is given to everybody. This 1% if you work can become 99%. But what if you're saying that in that moment what Buddha chose was also probably based on his past karmas, it's not. That was a moment of exercising choice, free will. And that is what is different between all life forms and human life form. Most of other life forms do not have this free will. As we became evolved in our consciousness, we got this free will. This is part of our conscious evolution. So, according to me, only human species has this element of free will. Other species do not have that. And that is the difference. Our erect spine is not the difference. Our brain is not the difference. Other life forms are sometimes more intelligent than humans. But the difference is this element, this essence, this gift of free will that only humans have. That's my experience and understanding both. Explore this.
Well, I guess there's something inside of me that I feel like everyone at every moment is doing the best they can, and if they could make a better decision, then they would. And so I feel almost like we're doing what we are able to do at all times.
You're right, but there's still a difference. You're absolutely right. I 100% agree with you. But you know where the difference is? Or difference in understanding? Is consciousness and unconsciousness. Somebody unconscious is also doing the best that he or she can in that particular moment. But it's totally unconscious behavior. Somebody then enters into the zone where the consciousness starts to grow. Now my decisions, my choices are very conscious, aware choices. Not based on past momentum. If all your choices are based on past momentum, it is called unconscious choices. You're not choosing that as your own decision. It's a past force. That we say is unconscious. But there are points when you can actually choose, which I'm calling free will, by exercising your consciousness. That consciously I choose this and not choose that which is part of my previous flow. Think about it. This is quite deep, but if this can get, if you can decipher this, life journey will change its track. There'll be a lot of empowerment you will start to experience.
Would you say that intention has more power than the actual action itself?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What does it mean to be a person who is motivated by his mind and not his heart?
When you will meet such people, you will not experience any warmth from them. There will be a lot of rationality. There will be no warmth. In their aura, in their presence, you will not feel like we are sitting together. With all of you, I'm feeling at ease, in a certain space of ease, a certain space of interconnectedness. That in Europe I didn't feel. I felt wherever I went, even in spiritual retreats, there was a air of coldness.
It's a cultural thing, maybe. Like,
It has become a cultural thing, but you see, where did the culture come from? Now,
Survival.
Huh?
Survival.
No.
A strong mind is a good mind in the West. So that means he can bring food, he can be rich, it can be...
Correct. From that perspective, yes.
And that's the culture.
Correct.
So
See,
my parents or Mira's parents taught us that if we learn a lot, if we become smart and educated, we are strong.
Correct. That's a good point. There I felt, and I'm not saying that because I'm Indian, no. I don't feel I belong to any country basically. Sometimes I feel I don't even belong to it. Anyway, that's a different matter. I saw in Europe, the places I saw, it's all about Their entire teaching, culture, training was all about survival. And the more you have, the better chances of survival. But in Eastern culture, it is never about survival.
Yes, it's about happiness.
Our teaching, when I was a child, my parents didn't ever taught me about survival. As if you're born, that's guaranteed. Maybe we took it for granted by polluting our rivers. But here the teaching was always of Dharma.
Dharma?
Dharma. How do we explain
No,
that?
Torah. Torah.
Humanity.
Yeah. That was, I don't know the word, but I hope I do explain
I'm just translating.
translating. Yeah. So the entire culture here grew on that principle. And this culture grew on that principle from about 15,000 years with a continuous history. That this culture has just been talking about this. I'll give you an example. 3,000 years ago, in this country, the first cataract operation was performed.
The first what?
Cataract surgery.
Yeah.
About 3,500 years ago, this is 3,500 years ago, the first plastic surgery on the human body was already performed in India.
Wow.
Yes. We've got the proofs of that. Howard Institute in the US has done a lot of research. This is all documented now. This is not a wishful.
Imagine.
This is all documented. There are proofs, research driven. Where did it all came from? Where did that knowledge come from? It was not the education of science. All the people who brought that wisdom, who brought that knowledge, were all spiritual gurus. For an example, Ayurveda. You heard about Ayurveda. Where did Ayurveda came from?
From Brahma.
In the Vedas.
The god Brahma.
But let's assume that God Rama is just a mythology. Maybe he never existed. Let's assume.
But like 3,000 years ago, it passed down to a human and got and passed on by mouth, like from father to son.
How did it come to the humans?
Okay, so I know the explanation with Brahma.
No, you know what?
Challenger. People who can challenge information
Exactly.
from the
Do you know how did it happen?
sky.
So let's say you are a great sage, a yogi, or a spiritual guru. You are meditating in the forest. There are a lot of herbs around you. You lowered your frequency. We all have vibrational frequency. You lowered your vibrational frequency and matched it with the plant. And that plant's language you started understanding. And the plant told you, look, you have a pain in your knee, I know that. Because plant is also sensing you. Take this, 3 leaves, chew them, empty stomach, and you'll be healed. This is how Ayurveda came. So who brought Ayurveda? Spiritual gurus. And then Ayurveda became a science. So the point I'm making, all the science and engineering that happened in India 5,000 years ago came from spiritual understanding, not from scientific understanding. That's what made this culture. I'll give you another example.
Animals too.
Sorry?
The teaching came from animals too.
Even animals. I'll give you another fantastic data. There's a civilization, and you can do Google research on that. There's an ancient civilization. It's about 10,000-year-old civilization called Harappa civilization. Have you heard about Harappa civilization?
Harappa?
Harappa. Yeah. You heard about it. Harappa civilization was in the Himalayan region of India, Nepal, and Pakistan. At that time, this was one geography, not divided. 10,000 years ago. 10,000 years ago. The civilization was so sophisticated that they had underground
Sewage?
sewage system. Now that's not a rocket science. Anybody could build underground sewage system. But the rocket science it was self-cleaning sewage system. You don't need to clean it. The system was such that it will clean itself. 10,000 years ago. No machinery. The sheer architectural design was such that the sewer system will clean itself. Till date, we've not been able to do that. Where did that come from? That level of engineering came from spiritual wisdom. So that's the difference. This culture is built on spiritual wisdom, not on the scientific need for survival.
Do you believe that the people of the world right now are identical to the same people 10,000 years ago?
I would say no, but there is a possibility.
Why no?
Because we have changed our foundations from spiritual wisdom to material well-being. The entire foundation has been changed. People think material well-being is extremely important for life, as if life is just matter. That's a whole flaw. At the core, life is spirit, and around the spirit, matter is built. Core is important. If you can cultivate the core, the outer matter will be taken care of. It's like saying, if you want to have healthy humanity, whose health is more important? If 30 years down the line, you want healthy humanity, whose health is more important right now to be invested?
Soil,
Mothers.
mothers.
Mothers, ladies. If you can make sure all the ladies who are going to be producing the babies, they are not malnutrition, they don't have lack of iron or minerals in their body, naturally they will produce healthy babies. You don't need to create a mechanism to feed the children good diet. You need to feed the mothers, because that's the core. If the mothers are healthy, children will be healthy. In the human system, what is the mother? Your spiritual wisdom. If that's healthy, your body will be healthy. But if your body is healthy and your womb is weak, and that's the reason, if you study about some statics of Europe or America, these two geographies, the mental health issues are like going like this. They are the most rich countries, lot of money, lot of physical comforts, best medical services, clean environment. Still the mental health issues are going up. Why?
I think first and foremost, I think that the culture is promoting it. This is the first thing.
Absolutely.
And you look for the problems.
Correct.
And then you just get stuck. I don't know a single person who got identified that he has a mental illness and got better. It just keeps on getting worse. Once you know it, you're in it, and you always say, "Oh, I do this because of that. I need to take this pill. If I don't, I will be bad." Like,
Correct.
it's just a downfall from the.
Just down. Because they, according to me, are not investing in spiritual health. That's the core and that's the problem. See, India is still not a very rich country, and I'm using India as an example here. It could be Bhutan, not the richest nation. But still these countries are investing in their spiritual health. Hence, despite all the problems, the mental health issues are not going like this. Poor countries, still happy, because their cultures are designed in a way where lot of investment from childhood happens in spiritual health. And if spiritual health is intact, mental health will be fine, and physical health will also be fine.
Absolutely.
That's how it's processed.
I think that the biggest change is the structure of the family.
Yes.
This is the difference, like let's say between India and some
Yes.
countries in Europe, where you have a lot of bonds that keep coming, that are staying with you your whole life, and that's where the spiritual energy comes from.
Exactly.
Once you are in solitude or alone, you will get sick mentally. So,
Absolutely. Totally agree. So the entire community feeling in this country came from the spiritual understanding. See, that's the reason there are so many festivals. You know, you are in India.
yeah.
Every week we have a spiritual festival.
This is what I meant. This was the example.
Sometimes it's Krishna's birthday, and the whole, town is together, dancing, celebrating, eating together. Sometimes it's Rama's birthday. Sometimes it's Hanuman's birthday. Somebody's birthday we are celebrating. But even look at the festivals that we study. All the festivals are spiritual in nature. Our Independence Day celebration is not that big as our Diwali celebration, which is the return of Rama. That's the national celebration. Our Independence Day, okay. If we were Europe, our Independence Day celebration will be like a national thing, and our
Easter.
Diwali, Easter celebration is like,
The
okay, do it in your home.
Yeah, do it in your home.
Do it in your
So
home.
much.
But you see, here the focus is very different. Ah. Our economists in the government make their strategies and policies in such a way because they know it's Diwali coming, economy is going to go up. Their entire planning is around that. So, you see, that's how their people were supremely wise, and they defined entire culture and civilization based on this understanding. And if we can, let's say, somehow spread this understanding in other countries also, imagine the contentment, love, warmth, and compassion every citizen of the world will start to experience. I think it's possible. I think it's definitely possible. Cultures can be changed. It takes a lot of work, but cultures can be changed.
Yeah, even COVID have changed.
What is it?
Even COVID,
COVID.
no, have changed the world dramatically, and have
Exactly.
changed India dramatically.
Yes. Yes. With all the suffering COVID brought, there's a lot of positive opportunity which COVID allowed to bring. People have become little more hearty. They are no more saving for their. I see in India, pre-COVID, people were running the Western way, accumulate wealth, because it can save you. After COVID, people said, drop it. Money cannot save you, because that's what happened. No matter how rich you were, especially in India, people died. So one thing got through, your wealth cannot save you. People understood this. So many of my friends have left their jobs. I don't know if that's good or bad. But they said, no, I don't want to chase money. And they've started coming to Dharamshala, Himalayas. I'll do remote working, earn less, but I want to experience life. This was not a culture in India. Where people were crazy. They wanted to be like America. That has changed. That is really changed. So I feel spiritual wisdom is that which can save the world. Pursuit of only material wealth will destroy the earth. While it is important to have comfortable, house to live in, but we become insane about things. Large houses, large cars, more money. People just become insane. And that running around, we forgot how to live. So spiritual wisdom is at the base of human well-being.
I must share my own experience regarding to what you mentioned, that I was chasing after money for a very long period. I had to raise 2 children and support myself, the house, them, and I was all the time running after money, and it was a struggle for years. And then after I came to India, so very quickly things have changed, and money just started to support my journey, and magically things started to happen, just unfold.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you stop chasing it, it starts to come to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now many Israelis coming to India to
Yes.
search for something.
Correct.
I think the root cause is that we in Israel we have a lot of suffering. Wars, accidents, bombing, going to the army, you know. And people start to say, why is that happening? Why is it happening to me? Why it happened to my dad or whatever? And they come here to look for the answers. Not only the jars.
Even unconsciously, they're looking for something.
Yeah.
And our higher philosophy named Kabbalah is very similar to your higher philosophy. The Upanishads and it's very similar. Yeah.
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah is the higher philosophy.
The ancient
Jewish.
Torah.
Of the Jews. The Jewish.
The one who can, like Moses and Abraham from the Bible. I don't know if you are aware of that, but they were the beings, so called, the leaders of the Jewish people. So,
So the religion there started from Abraham, right?
yeah,
And then the Moses
Moses was after.
after Abraham.
Yeah.
And this was how long ago? Abraham was?
How long? 3,000?
4, 5, who knows?
How much?
4,000
Or
something.
I wasn't there to count.
It's a long time ago. We don't know how long.
You know, there's a theory. I've read about that theory. I don't know how true that is. And this could be controversial, but that theory says Abraham came from Ram.
Wow.
Ah, I also
Could be,
Yeah.
I think on the
but
internet.
it was
Have you
before.
seen it? Yeah.
Yeah.
As well. I'm not a religious guy, but there's a lot of connections between the big religions and a lot of influences
Yes.
over the years.
Yes.
Yeah. You can see it in every culture, but I don't believe like in the mythical aspects of the religion. But what I do know and what I can see, especially in your religion, that it consists a lot of wisdom that was passed on over the decades. And thousands of years ago, humanity is. It's not only the 2,000 years that we are counting right now. It's our history is about 20 something thousand years ago, and we lived for 100,000 of years.
Correct.
Things got passed down,
Correct. Correct.
and it got embedded within the Holy Scriptures.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of the Hindu and the Buddhist teachings have gone to America and Europe through Jewish people.
Oh, I see.
Mostly American Jews. They have Ramdas, the famous Neemurli Baba's devotee, Krishna Das, the singer,
Correct.
and so many others. Now, the Hare Krishna's main Guruji, Radhanath Swami, is also an American Jew.
Oh, I see.
So there is a lot of connection.
There's a lot of connection. I feel that.
Yes. Sharon Salzberg, she's an American Buddhist teacher, very well known.
She's also Jewish.
She's also Jewish.
We're all seekers. We are looking for the truth, one way or another.
Definitely.
So now your home is London? Do you go to Egypt ever?
I was born in Egypt and I lived there until I was 7.
Okay.
I moved to London with my family.
But do you sometimes visit Egypt? Is there any extended family or anything?
There is, but we left in a kind of dramatic way where we had to escape the country.
Oh.
So I have been back, but only maybe 2 months. And only with my sisters, not with my parents.
Oh, I see.
So yeah, I don't have such a strong connection to my roots in that way.
I see.
Yeah. But there's definitely a connection to the ancient Egyptians and the culture and history because it's so advanced. And actually, I heard that the ancient Egyptians and the Vedic culture are completely linked, and the technology they had was actually the same as the Vedic technology.
Correct.
I had read previously, or I had been told previously, that the whole world at one point, thousands of years ago, was kind of run under the Vedic law, the Vedic way of life.
Correct.
And the reason why it's so prevalent still in this part of the world or in India is because where India is was the capital of the world, but it had kind of dissipated from everywhere else.
Right.
But that's why it's still so rich here because it is the capital of the world.
Wow.
So,
There are proofs of what you're saying. There are definitely proofs of that. And I personally feel, when I said, Abraham, I heard came from Ram, and this is my personal understanding, I didn't write it wrong, is that this geography called India was the cradle for spiritual wisdom for the entire world, which you're referring to as the capital of the world. We were 3,000 years ago, we were actually trading with Egyptians. There were ships taking cloth to Egypt, and there are proofs of that. My understanding is that the entire Vedic culture got formed here because India was also linked to the large nations of that time. Like Egypt was very prosperous, large nation. Lot of this Vedic wisdom, culture, yogic principles also started flowing to these nations. And if you really study deep enough, you will find the influences of that, even today, in the modern religion also. But it's just that today religion does not allow us to accept these things. Unfortunately.
But the ultimate truth is beyond the religious,
Of course.
right? So,
Of course. Of course. That's the religion at the Vedic time, ancient time, it was not called a religion. It was called the way of life.
Ideology,
Ideology, way of life.
like Buddhism.
Like Buddhism. It was just how you live your life. Later on, politics and politics and financial greed made it into a organized religion. And my feeling is wherever the religion is organized, it's doomed. Because technically, spirituality cannot be organized. You can't have one world leader who can claim that I am the spiritual leader of it. It doesn't work like that. And that is what religion does. It tries to organize the faith.
yes,
Doomed.
the ritual.
No matter what religion we're talking about. Doomed.
It makes you stronger, but like in a militant way.
Absolutely. See, that's the reason they do it, no? It's a crowd mentality. You gather more crowd, you feel more power. But there's no truth. There's no dharma. There's no love.
It's useful for conquest.
Yes.
Conquest.
It's like an army, it's like a politics.
Yeah.
It's like a militant, army.
I feel like religions, not in that sense, close the heart as opposed to opening because you only accept those who are like you.
Yeah.
It's like we are the chosen ones.
Correct. Correct.
You need to close your heart to everyone else.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely. Neem Karoli Baba, Maharaj Ji of
Kenchi.
Ramdas Guru, Krishnadas Guru. People of that stature, their only religious philosophy is love all, serve all. Period. Nothing else.
Simple.
Simple. And that's religion. At the core, that's what religion is all about. Love all, serve all. And when they say all, not just humans, all life forms. If you just live by that, you'll not ever do any bad to the earth, to any species, to any animal, to any fellow human being. So simple. And I think that should be a measurement. If the teaching or religion sounds complex, run away. There's a problem there. If it sounds simple, that's where the truth is. Love one, serve one. Simple. Okay. This must be the true religion.
Anish Ji, we have taken a lot of your time.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Lovely seeing you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You must come more often. You stay here, So you don't stay in different countries. This is your home country. So you must come more often, as and when you feel like it. You must welcome. And all of you are, of course. You're all welcome. Thank you. Thank you very much.
much.